Hi, welcome to Ask Bishop Zac. We have a follow-up from last week, and this comes from Enoch. He says, "Greetings, Bishop. You mentioned that the church does not wed people on behalf of the state. If that is true, why were the marriages at a certain church in Kampala Diocese at risk of nullify because the church had no valid marriage license? And if so, would my marriage that is registered only by the church and not the state be valid? Why does the church have to file, returns of marriage to the state? Furthermore, to your wish to have everything be concluded in one spot, given that a place can be given a license to hold a marriage for a day by the Minister for Justice, why doesn't the church get involved in having the cultural and church functions concluded in one go?"
Really a very helpful question. It gives me the opportunity to clarify. What I meant was this, that it's not adequate to say that the church weds couples on behalf of the state only. Actually, at that ceremony that happens in the church, two registrations happen. A Christian marriage is registered by the church, hence the marriage certificate of the church that is given. And every couple will know that they sign a register, a church register. So the marriage is registered as a Christian marriage by the church. Secondly, the marriage is also registered by the church on behalf of the state. So that's why when a marriage happens, a wedding happens in a church, a couple receives two certificates: a certificate of registration of the church and a certificate of registration of the state. And it is that which is what the church does on behalf of the state. And the reason why, that's the reason why at the end of a period, the church needs to submit returns for the numbers of marriages registered on behalf of the state in the particular church. Now, in order for that to happen at a church location, church building, the building must be licensed. Number two, the minister who marries the two must be licensed. If the minister is not licensed, the marriage thus executed there is a nullity. If the place is not registered, same. It's got to be both. Mm-hmm. So in the instance that is quoted of Kampala Diocese, this particular place where a number of marriages happened and it was not licensed, yes, unfortunately. However, I think I have checked that it can be, what's the word, rectified. So and the Church of Uganda, Kampala Diocese, has put in place ways in which that can be actually rectified. So that is the reason why that happened in that instance. I think that clarifies the particular incident. Now, so it is important that there is a licensed minister, a licensed place, in order for the two registrations to qualify. However, when it comes to the courts of law, our courts of law recognize that registration of the state that a church does as registering it as a Christian marriage as well as registered by the state. So in that sense, that certificate is actually what is required within the courts of law. I have known people who go and present the church certificate. It actually doesn't work, and that's why that certificate is very crucial. But as I say, the conditions are very clear on how that has to happen. Now, so as you can see, at the church, two things are happening: a registration of a Christian marriage in a church register, and a registration of a Christian marriage in the state's register. So it's a registration of a Christian marriage by the state, a registration of Christian marriage by the church. And it is true that if when the traditional customary process is being concluded, and different cultures in Uganda have a different ceremony at which that is concluded. Some it's at the introduction, others gukwa, others kuhinjira, or whatever it would be. When the two families say, now our young people, our daughter, our son, you are now free. We have given you the blessing to be husband and wife. We've given you the blessing. It would be great at that moment for a church minister to now be able to take that and pronounce the blessing of the church. So the family has blessed, the church has blessed, and it would be wonderful if that blessing has legal value, which means the place is licensed. So the place is licensed, the minister is licensed, they have received the blessing of the family, the blessing of the clan, the blessing of the tradition and culture, they've received the blessing of the church, and they have the blessing of the state because the registration can happen there. I think the church hasn't simply addressed itself to this question, and I believe it's urgent that this needs to be. I think that there are many who would be really helped if this was undertaken, because it's causing confusion. I mean, couples come to me and they say, they're asking me to wed them in church, and they say, but we're already husband and wife. And I say, like, but you are Christians, you didn't get the blessing of the church. He says, but no, we got the blessing of our families through a customary process. So when the kuhinjira finished, or gukwa, or whatever, we married, we started living together. But I say, so I think the clarity is necessary, but I think that part of that would be helped by everything happening in the one go. And so it's an appeal. However, let me also say this. Actually, a couple can make that request. Can make that request of the church, can make that request and therefore license the particular place where the kuhinjira or gukwa is happening, where everything can be. So I think there are traditions about gukwa gutebutsa in our own particular culture. There's a whole, but whenever that moment it is that the two cultures have agreed, or the culture has agreed, you now are free to be husband and wife. We have blessed you for everything happen at that moment.
So there's that possibility.
There is that possibility, and the couple can make that request. But it would help also for the church to be able to address itself to this, and it's possible really. And I think that that would really help a lot and minimize the confusion that is apparent.
For sure. Thank you very much for that. I hope this helps Enoch and anyone else as well who needed that clarity. I think I did as well. I don't think I had fully, gone into those details as much myself when I was getting married, but this helps.
What are you saying? It didn't help you?
No.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. I didn't know that. Anyway, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. All the best.